Hi everyone, Scottish Hippie here with the Commune. Hope everyone had a happy Easter and an amazing Ostara. Now if you love video games as much as me or the next guy, or you just enjoy seeing the latest and greatest content from PC gaming, hit the subscribe button below and it'll let you know anytime the Commune drops a new video or we're going live. Today we're going to talk about the latest release from Square Enix and People Can Fly. April 1st we saw a massive flood to Outriders and this caused a huge issue with launch day servers. People were trying to get online just to be kicked in less than 10 minutes. I'm sure releasing the game same day on Game Pass didn't help any. So the first few days after release, we didn't get to see a lot of action on Enoch, and I was afraid I was going to be looking at a Division hijack with some worse servers. Around the third day it seemed to stable off, and we were able to consistently get in game for a few hours without being booted and losing precious time and loot. One thing that really stuck out to me was the art style going from one location to the next. I actually found myself a bit excited to see what they were going to bring because the textures and colors seemed to really stand out to my eye, and it's something I didn't think I was going to outright notice. The guns can have a really rustic feel, and that's something I tend to love, but at the same time, the frame for a gun can be played out about 14,000 times before you start to say, okay, let's add in something new. That being said, the customization option that is opened up later in the story really allows you to flesh out each gun to your playstyle and customize and level up your favorite weapons if you have the right materials. And as you gain strength and level, you are also unlocking a higher world tier which can act in or against you all depending on your personal ego. Sometimes setting the tier low enough so you can still get a challenge just to make it to a better vendor can make all the difference. The world tier not only affects the levels of the enemies that you encounter, but also the level of the items that they drop, legendary drop percentages, and more. So do so at your own risk. Classes and abilities. You currently have 4 classes to choose from, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. The classes are Technomancer, Pyromancer, Trickster, and Devastator, each color-coded as well to make it a little easier. Some are suited for a solo playthrough, while others make it extremely hard to take out a horde without the right classes and a partner or two. We chose the Pyromancer as he closely resembled a assault class with a mix of magic or anomaly, but here we're going to go over each class, the pros and cons and what stood out to us. Whichever class you choose, the customization really lets you make it unique to your playstyle. The Technomancer. The Technomancer is a long ranger, scout and support type sporting a rifle, grenades, and a turret that can slow enemies down. He regains his health from the damage he dishes out, and this can be hugely effective at a distance. This can be one of the best healing specs, especially if you have damage maxed out with a Devastator as a proper tank. If damage is taken, the best thing to do is fall back and use your turret and rifle to dispatch enemies from a distance. The Pyromancer. The Pyromancer is a medium-ranged, powerful, anomaly-wielding assault specialist. He's a conjurer who relies on a mix of firepower and casting power to heal himself and eliminate enemies in a fury of fire and flames. When enemies are hit with his abilities, they are marked, receiving debuffs like Ash and Burn, and anyone killed who has been marked will instantly heal the Pyromancer. His main weapon is the assault rifle, double gun, and his skills that range from a firewall to a volcano that can erupt from the ground, devastating groups of enemies nearby. Using skills will cover enemies in Ash, which can be really useful as it slows them and allows you to open up with more damage. We chose him for our first playthrough because he seemed like a really good mix of range and anomaly, and the amount of damage that we started to dish out towards the end of the game was really impressive. The Trickster. The Trickster is a close range, hit and run guerrilla type class. While he doesn't boast a huge HP advantage, he does come with a shield that can charge up as he kills opponents in close range. And when used with his teleportation skill, this can be extremely useful for dodging opponents and moving around the battlefield. His weapons include revolvers, shotguns, and SMGs. Along with the ability to slow bullets down with a bubble shield, manipulating time seems to be the Trickster's main advantage. If spec'd properly, this can be one of the best classes for a solo playthrough. The Devastator. The Devastator is your average tank class, and can be deployed in a multitude of situations and still have the upper hand. His armor and health are that of legends, even at a lower level, and he can charge headfirst into combat with almost no fear. He also recovers health when taking out enemies in a close range, and this can be extremely advantageous, especially when you're fighting hordes. He also sports a shield that can stop bullets mid-time, hold them, and then send them back at their enemies, causing massive amounts of damage. Earthquakes, shotguns, explosions, and a shoulder charge that would make a Matador choose a new profession. The Devastator class truly makes you feel like you were sent to Enoch just to cause destruction, and maybe our second favorite class to play solo. The pros and cons. Now we're going to go through the highs and lows for People Can Fly's new title. I spoke on it a little bit before, but the art style is one thing that really stuck out to me. When Borderlands was first being proposed, it had this realistic yet artsy feel. When they finally changed it to a comic book, less detailed vibe, I was a little disappointed. I remember reading about it in my Gaming World magazine pre-2014, and when I finally got my hands on it, I was a little less than impressed. With Outriders, I expected almost the same, but was pleasantly surprised at some of the locations they created for Enoch. The different colors and shades really draw you into this alien world. They don't try to push textures in your face. You aren't going to need a 20 or 30 series NVIDIA card if you really want to see the detail, but it still pops, and it's really eye-appealing. It makes it a treat when you finally discover a new place to adventure by yourself or with a squad. I would actually find myself staring off a cliff and just really appreciating the artwork in the distance. And while most of the map is enclosed and straightforward, you still have some moments where it really feels like an alien planet. Mods and customization. One thing that really kept me playing was the ability to customize your loadout to your playstyle. Each class has subclasses that can be focused on a certain group's strengths and really bring out the damage and skills of the whole group. Add into the mix the gun modding itself, which you unlock from breaking down other guns with similar mods. When you progress and unlock more mods, you actually create a unique character you're proud to hop on daily and grind with. You find yourself using skills and mods together to create the most damage, and it's kind of a satisfying feeling. I found myself switching through skills with different gear mods and trying to maximize my eruption skill while keeping health high for solo runs. It's did a very nice job at keeping each class balanced, different, and important for almost any situation you find yourself in. The cons. Voice and character acting. While the story and plot have some really good moments, some highs and lows, the acting and character development itself is one thing that is slightly lacking. I find moments where the character should have extreme emotions and he finds himself like a statue reading lines. Even during some pretty gnarly death scenes, it seems it's hard to lock down a consistent acting sequence. That being said, the overall story itself is something that is very engaging and intriguing. I just think the acting could use a little bit more work and more emotions.
Someone to step up. I'm Juno, by the way.
Lack of PvP and endgame content. I understand that before the launch it was made very clear that PvP wouldn't be a part of this game, but it really limits the fun you can have with your friends and the competition is almost non-existent. If we aren't going to have a PvP area, at least give us a central hub like Destiny where we can show off our goodies and all the things that we've acquired from the endless hours of looting. Add into the fact that after the story is complete, the endgame content is kind of lacking. You have a few raids in one dungeon. For being a strictly online loot and shooter, I expect more endgame content with a lack of PvP. Hopefully this will be something that can be added into the future with updates and DLCs. Repetitive gun frame and scaffoldings. While adding a customization and modding option to all the guns, the issue is the same scaffolded frame is used to create almost every single weapon. While each weapon has small color differences, you can't adjust anything about the gun except mods, and after 30 levels of grinding, you start to realize if the weapon isn't legendary, it will be a recycled model, and not just slightly recycled. Hopefully as DLC and updates come, this can be corrected pretty easily as well. Conclusion. When I first seen the gameplay for Outriders, I was expecting a Division Destiny reboot with even worse of a storyline and paywalls behind every corner, but I was pleasantly surprised. The slow start can be excused because once you start to understand and actually dive into the story, you find yourself engaged in the world of Enoch. That being said, repetitive mods, guns, and enemy models can become a bit tiresome after 10 to 15 hours of gameplay. The endgame content is pretty fun, but it isn't fleshed out too well yet. My biggest issue with the game right now is the servers. Trying to connect to a cross-platform player from PC almost always gives you bad latency, even with the best connection. Customization and crafting make it unique each playthrough, and the classes really are something different, and I appreciate that. For recycling a lot of things in this release, I still find myself pleasantly enjoying Outriders. After everything's said and done, we're going to give Outriders a 3.5 out of 5. The gameplay, fluid movement, and cover system that's been played out since Gears of War, and recycled weapons is really the only thing that hurt the game in my opinion. That being said, they still found a way to be different and carve out a new path in the looter and shooter genre. Added that together with a totally different world, story, and classes really makes something old feel new. I can definitely see this game being in your library if you're a fan of RPGs, shooters, or any sci-fi type game like Mass Effect. It's not perfect, but we've seen a lot of lackluster releases since late 2019, and I think Outriders could definitely stand the test of time with good updates and DLC to keep it relevant. If you like this video, Outriders, or just love gaming, make sure to smash that sub button and leave a comment. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to hang out at the commune. This is Scottish Hippie, and I hope the rest of your day is nothing less than perfect. Bye!